As someone who has picked up and run with someone else's universe in the past, as you did with Ridley Scott, what advice would you have to the next filmmaker who might want to come in after Dune Messiah?
Oh la la, it's a good question.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Whenever you and I spoke for part one, you very much did not know in that moment whether or not you were going to end up making part two. Goes without saying, Dune part one was my #1 film of the year, so I'm very happy that you did. In a hypothetical world where everything had gone wrong and you hadn't been able to make part two, what is the aspect of this film, the moment, the scene, the thematic sort of theme that you would have been most disappointed that you didn't get to direct?
To get closer and know more about Shani.
Why?
Because she's one of my favorite characters of the Dune book. She's like what she brings Paul in contact with the Fremen culture, and the Fremen culture is one of my the way Frank Herbert depict Fremen culture, all the details he brings about these people, these tribes living in the deep desert and the toughest environment, all the techniques, survival techniques, all that. I wanted to embrace that. I wanted to get closer to that. I wanted to and Shani and I will say Stilgar too were my vehicles to get more in contact, deeper in the Fremen culture. So I would have been sad not to get deeper, and win this culture.
I'm so glad we did. Christopher Walken is one of my favorite actors of all time.
Oh, he
and
is.
I love your casting as the Emperor. So I kind of wanted to show you something, and I'm sort of curious if this, at any point, ever came up in conversation. So I'd love to show you a video, if you don't mind.
Oh, I know that very well. Yeah. It's a fan. It's one of the best, one of the most iconic and a great piece of film that Christopher did. He's so elegant.
And the line in that moment where he's dancing is
yes.
walk without rhythm and you won't attract the worm. And I guess, did that ever come up?
But that was like I will say it's a furious coincidence. I didn't thought of Christopher Walken because of that. I went to Christopher Walken and somebody as once he was on board said, "Do you remember that?" I said, "No, I remember that that video of a dance sequence of Christopher. Of course, I loved it so much, but I didn't remember the lyrics, and I thought it was furious coincidence."
It's really, well, I love stuff. It is a testament to how much Dune has seeped its way into pop culture. You have said that if we're lucky enough to get Dune Messiah, that will be the end of the Dune world for you. It'll be a beautiful trilogy, which I think is perfect.
I spent already 6 years in the sand, and I go one movie at a time, and right now I just finished the part 2, and to go even to do a third one is like, okay, I have to make sure that I have something interesting, that we will have a strong screenplay, that's something that will bring something fresh, new, that will not feel like so it's we'll see after that, but I like, it's easier for me to think about the future if I say, okay, last one.
Well, here's what I want to ask, because you have taken over for someone else's universe in the past. I mean, Blade Runner 2049, I don't mean to keep saying this, was my #1 film of the year whenever it came out. It's a masterpiece. So what advice, if someone did want to come in and continue Dune after Dune Messiah, as someone who has picked up and run with someone else's universe in the past, as you did with Ridley Scott, what advice would you have to the next filmmaker who might want to come in after Dune Messiah?
Oh la la, it's a good question. I will be there to, I mean, first of all, I will say good luck in the way that it's the next books are complex, are much more wild and maybe more difficult to adapt. But I'll be there to help, and I will give the basic lines of the way I approached it to make it cinematic. I will be definitely happy if someone else was willing to do that. Yeah, I would definitely.
I've got 10,000 more questions. They're giving me the wrap. Seriously, I cannot thank you enough for. Seriously, this book means a lot to me, and I never thought that I would ever get to see anything like this in my life. So,
oh, you're
from
sweet.
the bottom of my heart, I truly appreciate it.
Where we're going, we don't need roads. roads.